People sometimes ask me what I think is the bottom line behind all everything that's been happening over the last year and a half or so, culminating in the jab. Maybe I should call it the Baj, B-A-J, jab spelled backwards. That would be a good way of speaking in code about the kind of things we have to speak in code about because of the lack of freedom of speech on most of the platforms on the internet these days, most of the prominent platforms, including the one that I'm continuing to use, not because I like it, but just because it's the best way to reach people, i.e. this one. So, what is the point of the Baj? Well, I'm not going to speak about the Baj right now. I think that's, if ever there was a rabbit hole, that is it. But what was the point of the last 18 months? What took place? What has been taking place? What continues to take place in some places in the world with the closing down of businesses, the forced lockdowns. What you have, and this has been pointed out, I'm not the first to point this out. I'm not claiming to have discovered this myself. I'm not claiming any kind of genius level intellect here. But if you ask what was the point of all of this, well, what do we see happening here? We see the transfer of wealth on a massive scale. We see people who owned small businesses losing ground, in many cases having to close down entirely. And where has that money gone? From the working poor, from small business owners, from what had once been the comfortable middle class. It ain't going down, it's going up. That is, the very, very rich are getting more. And those who weren't maybe desperately poor before, but who were who were getting by on much less, i.e. most normal people, they're losing ground. So this has been a boon for the very, very, very rich. The top 0.1% of the 1% have gained a lot of wealth from below. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? The people who with more money than they knew what to do with, although they are sure finding plenty of nefarious things to do with it, they're getting more. In circumstances like these, it's hard not to see this is accidental, and I think it would be very foolish to just say, oh, well, you silly conspiracy theorists, just because the kind of the top tier, as far as wealth goes, the top tier of the population are the ones pushing a reset, are the ones who are pushing, for everything to be torn down, and for us to live in a cashless society, and who are really also pushing, although maybe this is not quite as much front and center for them, but it's still very much a part of their whole general philosophy and outlook, who are pushing for depopulation. It just so happens that this crisis that they've created over the last year and a half, and yes, I believe it has been an artificially created crisis. I absolutely do. Call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. I'm still right. So these very people are the ones who have benefited the most, right? This is wealth redistribution, but it's going the wrong way. It's going up. It's going from those who don't have as much to those who have a whole shit ton, because none of those places were forced to close down. Remember when Walmart was the only place that was allowed to stay open? Walmart and McDonald's and all the other mega corporations, they, for some reason, never were treated punitively, but the mom and pop stores were. Interesting, huh? That was never explained. I never heard there be a justification for that. Somehow, the essential places were all the ones which had big corporate backing. Were all the ones who already were, affiliated with, or in close quarters with those who pretty much run the world. So this is what when I think of 2020, and also what continues to happen to some degree in 2021. This is what I see occurring, and this is why I wrote The Insurrectionist. This is part of the anger that motivated the composition of The Insurrectionist, because I do believe that our would-be rulers, the would-be ruling class, those who arrogate to themselves somehow the right to control to control the world economy. And that's nothing less than what they're doing right now. If you see, this the Council on Foreign Relations people, or the Bilderberg people, or however you want to categorize them, the Great Reset advocates. I can't remember the name of that affiliation, that rotten group that birthed the Great Reset moniker. It's not coming to my mind right now, but you know who I'm talking about. If ever there was a time for an insurrection, it's now. And of course, they'll call it an insurrection. All the media will call it an insurrection because they're owned. All of the corporations and who are buddy with the police states, the sort of soft police states. In the West, we have ostensibly rights and freedoms, but those are sort of disappearing into the ether with this invocation of the new normal, aren't they? And so what I wrote about in The Insurrection is fictional, yes, but the kind of society that exists in the world of that book is not science fiction, as I've said before. It's not a wild, fantastical projection. It's not like when, if I dare say, when George Orwell, great as he was, greater writer as he was, when he composed 1984, back in 1947 and 48, that world is still, you read it, it's still pretty fantastical in most ways. He had real concerns, of course, and those are reflected in the book, and it is a great book, and I'm not taking anything at all away from it. But The Insurrectionist, as a book of dystopic fiction, it's all too real. It's all too believable. It's tangibly real. Can't you feel it in the air right now? This year, right at this moment, it's happening. It's already happening. Never has there been a greater time, a more appropriate time for insurrection. And of course, insurrection is a bad word. Insurrection is the word. It's the scare term that they use to call out the kind of people who are calling for just, correct, and righteous change. Whatever, embrace the term insurrectionist. Embrace it. Be what they say you are. They're going to call you what they're going to call you. So, if you would, if this intrigues you, and if you feel that you'd like to check out my book, The Insurrectionist, you can find it at terrorhousepress.com. You can find it on Amazon, even though I don't know why you want to give Bezos any more of your bucks. Bezos is but one of the this claque that I am denouncing here in this video, but it's up to you, and it's only a few bucks anyway. You can check it out Kindle-wise. You can get a free sample of it and take it from there and see if it's something you would like to read more of. Anyway, this is my latest plug, but also a plug in which I am dispensing information that I do believe is true. So it's not an inauthentic manner in which I am plugging my book, The Insurrectionist, by me, Andy Nowicki. Thank you, sir and ma'am. Talk to y'all soon.